Hey everybody, Joe Hubbard here. Just following up on the first video that I sent out, launching my new product, which is the Alien Nation Play Along Bundle for bass and drums. Really important to understand that. Remind your drummer friends. And also, the Music Minus drum mix brings out a lot of the solo lines that I'm playing a little bit more on this. Now, this is featuring George Whitty on keyboards and Tom Breckline on drums, world-class musicians that you can get the opportunity to sit in and play along with. Let me just recap on what you're going to get with this package. So you're going to end up getting the full track, which is a really good quality mix of the track. You're going to be getting a play-along track as well. The Music Minus bass. Also, as I just mentioned, the Music Minus drums might be helpful for you as well to pick out all the nuance that I'm actually doing on there. You're going to end up with a professional bass chart, and this is just a pro chart that you would see if you went into a studio or if you were on a gig that does not have tablature. You'll also have a chart with tab. For the guys who want that. Oddly enough, with my last book, I released that in tab, and I had a bunch of guys that wrote into me saying that they didn't really prefer it with the tab. And one guy in particular, I love your guys' suggestions to me. People write me emails all the time, and the guys who write to me know that I answer them all the time. But one guy wrote in and said, I've got a great idea. Do it as a professional thing. So that's what I've done this time, giving you guys the opportunity to just see it with no tab and then a part with tablature as well. You're also going to get the full score. This is very good for further studying composition, and really rounding off all of your skills. I wanted to explain to you why this product is going to help you. And the key factor involved in this is challenge. It's going to give you the challenge that you need to really turbocharge your skills to the next level. And this is seriously important because so much of what's on the market today as play-along packages are so dumbed down and easy that anyone can just sit down and play them. That's not what you want. You want a product that you can work towards playing and actually spend some good time doing it. In other words, what's the use of buying something that you can already play? You want to buy something that you can then work towards playing, because the payoff, and remember, the fun is in the results, and the fun and the payoff that you'll get from that is exponential. So this is really why you want to get this product, because this is really going to push your skills to the next level. So I just thought it was important to explain that. Now, I know a lot of you guys are saying something like, oh, I think this track, I've listened to it, and it's a little bit too advanced for me to do. Well, really, the actual bass parts on the record are fairly straightforward. I mean, okay, it's in 6/4, and this will help you to explore a different time signature other than 4. But once you get your head around that, the actual bass grooves on the record are not that out of reach, I would say, for most people, unless you're just a complete beginner that you can barely finger a scale or something like that. But if you've played a little bit and you can play a few grooves and stuff like this, the actual bass part on it is very approachable. There are some solo sections, but note that under those solo sections, there's bar the middle section, there's bass parts that go through the whole tune. There is kind of a tricky part, which is an interlude between the piano solo, and takes us out of the piano solo. But again, that's that other challenging thing that you can try to get your head around. But overall, most people's level will be able to handle this track to some degree. So then you can already sit down and play, I would say, 3/4 of it through, and then you're going to have to work on it. It's going to be challenging, but within a couple of weeks, you'll probably be able to get some traction with the actual bass part, and then gradually work on getting the solo sections down and everything else. The chords aren't too complicated for the solo sections, and these are things that I'll probably bring up in future lessons anyway on how to tackle these sections. But overall, I really think that most people with a sort of intermediate level could handle this track and really get this to aspire to play it at the level that's being played on the record. So what I wanted to do in this video is teach you a little lesson on how to play some things in 6/4 and change the rhythms around to make it more interesting and more approachable. But before we do that, let's just listen to a little clip of the main solo that I play on this track. I think you'll dig it. So as you can hear, I'm playing some, variations on the rhythmic ideas over 6/4, and I wanted to explain a little bit how this works just in a basic format. I want you to listen to this drum groove that's coming up, where I've got 6 quarter notes on the hi-hat, and the dotted quarter note is implying like a new 4/4 pulse, and that's on the cowbell. The tempo of the tune is about 1/7/6 in 6/4, so those hi-hats are at 1/7/6, but that dotted quarter, which creates that new quarter note pulse and creates a 4/4 feel over the 6/4, brings it down to 1/16. Check this out. Okay, in this next section, I'm playing the core groove of the tune, and this is based on 1/8 notes played in 6/4. Okay, in the next example, what I'm doing is I'm actually playing on those dotted quarter notes as following the cowbell pattern. And if you note, it creates like this walking bass line, an illusion of creating a new time of 4/4, which actually slows the tempo down a bit to 1/16. This is where drummers can kind of catch a hold of this and start marking that as well. And it sounds like you're doing something ultra complicated, but in actual fact, it's not, because you're just playing the dotted quarter notes over the 6/4 bar. Check it out. So what I'm doing in the next example is grabbing a hold of this idea of the new 4/4 pulse over this bar of 6, and I'm playing 1/8 notes in relation to the actual new pulse. So check out how this changes the whole feel of the thing. In this next example, what I'm doing is I'm playing 1/8 note triplets over that new 4/4 pulse. Now, this works out to be the same thing rhythmically as the 8ths in 6/4, But by playing them in triplets, it creates a different rhythmic accenting. So listen to how this affects the feel of it. Now in the next example, what I'm doing is I'm taking this new 4/4 pulse and I'm playing 16th notes against it. This is a very cool trick because it brings those 16th notes down to 116, which is a very approachable tempo. So for sort of, intermediate to advanced level guy. If you try to play the 16th notes at 176, that's a little bit more challenging. You'll notice when you hear the full version of the track, and even on that example that I played, there's a few little bursts of 16s at 176, to do that for any length of time for me is uber tough. I mean, that's really hard. So it makes it a little bit more approachable to bring that down, and it also really affects the feel. Now, when you listen to these examples, what you really want to do is try to count through them in 6/4, and then try to count through them in 4/4 with the new 4/4. Bear in mind that cowbell is the new 4. And when you align it in your mind to where you can do that, it's really cool. So because the thing feels completely differently. And then when you listen to the way we play on the track, you'll hear how we're changing that up all the time, and it really makes this kind of playing over 6 really exciting. All right, guys, that just about wraps up today's video. But before we go, I just want to remind you that I'm launching this play-along bundle on Monday, June 13th. And this is for a limited time offer only for 5 days. The price is going to be £9.50, and in US dollars, that's about $14. This ends up giving you about 30% savings on the overall price of the product. So this is a pretty good deal. So I just want to really remind you that, snap this up while this limited time offer sale is going to be going on, which is 5 days from Monday, June 13th until Friday, June 17th. In the meantime, what I want you to do is go over to my launch blog, and you can get the link to the launch blog on this email, and leave all your comments or your questions if you've got any more questions about the launch of this product. Also, the link for buying this bundle is on this email. If you click on that link now, it's going to take you to a countdown page, which is going to let you know how many days, how many hours, how many minutes that you've got to go. But it's going to be open for business on Monday, June 13th at 8 a.m., but that's London time. So other than that, hope you enjoyed this lesson. And until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.